Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be talking about the artist who is the youngest to ever achieve 100 singles on the Hot 100 at the age of 23, and that is NBA YoungBoy. That's a fact. He has that record over guys like Lil Baby and Justin Bieber. So as some of you guys may know, YoungBoy recently dropped his album Slime Cry, and as of today it is projected that it's going to sell over 70,000 units within its first week, which is bizarre to me considering there was practically like no rollout, but it seems like that case for every YoungBoy album. But what I recently learned about YoungBoy is that this guy will never fall off. I thought he was going to fall off like 3 years ago at some point, but it just seems like it doesn't matter what's the scenario, when it is, his fans will always tune in. His fan base is different. It's cult like. They are always like gonna tune in for YoungBoy no matter what, regardless of the situation. They'll always tune in, which is crazy to say because I don't think there's any other fan base like it. Yes, I think they're more diehard than guys like Kendrick fans, J. Cole fans, Drake fans, Cardi fans. It is something I just never see ever, but with YoungBoy, it's different. Maybe in pop, sure, but in rap, YoungBoy has that on lockdown. And it's like one of the most unique fan bases I have ever seen because most of his plays, streams, views, and everything come from YouTube and Apple Music, which is very interesting to me considering that Billboard is no longer going to account sales from YouTube views anymore, which is very strange to me how the hell he's selling this many units within its first week. Although there are 30 tracks on there, but he did chart a lot of the songs on Apple Music very highly. However, Apple Music has significantly less users than Spotify. We don't know the numbers on Apple Music of how many streams he got within its first week. So it is very impressive that YoungBoy to this day, it doesn't matter because the guy drops so often. He has like over like 15 albums out. I feel like he drops like an album every year. At one point he was dropping like more than one album a year. But it always impresses me that no matter how much music the guy puts out, his fans seem to just never get tired of it. And that's very impressive because I just don't see any other rappers who can do that and get away with it. I feel like if a rapper just kept spamming album after album after album, the sales would just go down. But for YoungBoy, it just does this. It's like 1 second he's at a low, but then the next album it peaks again, and it's like he hasn't sold this many units in years, and it's just like that he's back at the top again. It's like that's ridiculous. And considering the album's projected to sell about 70,000 units first week with no bundle deals or anything like that, it's practically matching up to A$AP Rocky's album that he just released, Don't Be Dumb, which took almost 8 years to deliver, and he's basically matching the same sales within its first week. I mean, who else is doing it like him? NBA YoungBoy was outperforming A$AP Rocky on Apple Music, had him over there at #1, considering A$AP Rocky took 8 years, only at #2. He was only at #1 for a couple hours, and then YoungBoy just surpassed him. It's crazy to me that this is the reality of YoungBoy's career. To be honest, I do not like NBA YoungBoy's music. I simply don't. I think it's repetitive and gets boring after a while. But clearly, there is a draw. There is something there that people just can't get enough of. So people always tune in for him, and that is his fan base. They always come back for more because they love the guy. The guy has done successful tours. He's been labeled as the greatest rapper alive in 2025 by Complex. He's just got it all. The credentials are there. The commercial success is there as well. He has over 120 certifications in gold songs, platinum songs, multi-platinum songs. And the guy, at the end of the day, really is blackballed. Like, in a recent interview, he talked about it, and people just don't want to work with him. There's a reason why people don't want to work with him. It's just because of his background, the things he's talked about, and everything like that. But rappers tend to just not focus on him, and that's the type of blackball that Gunna has as well, where people don't want to associate with them for a particular reason. With YoungBoy, with his past, his history, with the streets and everything like that, it's interesting and very impressive that rappers simply don't collab with NBA YoungBoy. For whatever reasons that is, people just don't associate with him, and that is a type of blackball. He doesn't get promoted that often. He just does everything pretty much by himself, solo. So for him to sell this many units his first week consistently with a lot of albums is impressive. Recently, a Polo G fan page was talking about YoungBoy dropped 30 songs and no one was moved. But guess what? Polo G dropped over like 20 songs and no one moved because it didn't even chart on the Billboard 200. But then YoungBoy over here is selling 70,000 units in his first week. That is the difference between a guy that people simply just don't care about anymore, that being Polo G, compared to YoungBoy. The guy just cannot fall off. He never will. The fan base is there. It doesn't matter what happens. The fans will always be there. And it's super impressive considering Billboard will no longer account views and streams from YouTube for the sales. So most of these sales are gonna be coming from Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, and every platform like that, but no longer YouTube. So it's even more impressive because the guy always gets millions of views every day on YouTube because he has a bunch of music videos and it just gets a lot of views on there because primarily that's what his fan base listens to his music on. It is so interesting. The fan base is so unique to have more fans on Apple Music and YouTube rather than Spotify because his Spotify numbers are piss poor. Like he only got like 5 million streams within its first day of the debut of the album compared to A$AP Rocky, he got 35 million on Spotify. But it seems like they're going to be selling the same amount first week just on streams alone considering all the platforms they're on. So it's like clearly he's doing something right and it's working. And it's so interesting to just know the demographic of his fan base of what platforms do they like to use and listen to his music on, because clearly it's not the traditional way of people just going on Spotify, because Spotify has like 10x amount of users than Apple Music does, and Apple Music has about maybe roughly 100 million users on there. But it seems like it doesn't matter how much he drops, he will always be relevant. The guy has so many albums out. It's just he can saturate the market all day and people will always tune in. And a lot of rappers simply just don't have that. Even like the biggest artists, like let's say for example Drake. Imagine he just kept spamming album after album after album after album. I'm sure people would tune in, but I don't know if people would tune in like the fan base YoungBoy has, because YoungBoy, that fan base is as organic as it gets. You can't just get that somewhere else. You can't just buy that. You can't just pay for it. That is as organic as it gets. You can't just buy it. And like money doesn't get you that far. Promo that only gets you so far. YoungBoy just has a fan base. They'll find out when he drops or not. They'll always be there. They'll always know when he drops. They'll always be there when he releases. It doesn't matter. He will always be at the top, because simply organic push and media in general will always beat artificial media, because what people want, they will get and they will find, and that's what they do and treat with YoungBoy. It's crazy. It doesn't matter what the guy does. He always seems to be relevant and always push numbers because his numbers have always stayed consistent. They're like, sure, they dip, they incline, they do that sporadically throughout the years, but it's not like he's completely fell off where no one cares about the guy anymore. The guy keeps getting certifications, platinum, gold, I don't think he has a diamond plaque, and all these certifications, and then it's just like, well, it doesn't matter what this guy does because people will always tune in. And he's only 26 years old, which is even more crazy to think about because he's pretty fucking young. And it's just like, well, this guy doesn't seem like he's gonna be going anywhere anytime soon. And as long as he keeps putting music out, I don't really see him like falling off ever. Like he will always be on the charts forever. Like maybe he won't like be like number one all the time, but he will consistently be at the same spot throughout every year, and he doesn't need the media. He's fine without it. Sometimes he just doesn't even have an Instagram account. He deactivates it or he gets suspended or whatever. He doesn't even need that, and people will still tune in. That is what I call organic. A lot of rappers don't have that. There's a lot of reasons why a lot of rappers just fall off, because their fans simply just don't care about them. One second they care, next week they don't give a shit about you anymore. YoungBoy's fan base seems to just always care, and you cannot push that away. You cannot teach that. He just has it, and he will always have it, it seems. So shout out to YoungBoy. I may not like the music, but I can simply acknowledge the success behind it and what it takes to get there, and respect to him to doing it at that young age. It is not easy, but nor can I diss on that. May not like the music, but shout out to YoungBoy.